always on the go, but the day just won't be one without your Hollywood fix. Let Golden State Media Concepts Entertainment Podcast take care of that. An all-inclusive look of pop culture.
What's up, you guys, and welcome to GSMC Entertainment Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I'm your host, Cynthia, and happy Monday, everyone. I hope you all are having a very strong start to your week. I hope you all has set new intentions for the week, and hopefully you fulfill those intentions by the end. I'm having a pretty great day so far. I don't really know why I wouldn't want to have a great day. I mean, it's been a pretty typical Monday for me over here. I, woke up 4 a.m, taught a few classes in the morning, and took a 20-minute nap, and then now I'm here. So, nothing. I can't complain. I'm breathing, woke up to see another day. And yesterday was a pretty special day for us, for my family. My dad turned the big 50, 50 years young. Okay, that's really wild to think about. I think that as, kids, or not, not actual kids, but us, we are used to seeing our parents in this light, like young and with energy. And I think oftentimes we forget that as we age and grow and mold into these young adults into the world, we forget that as we age, our parents age as well. And it's honestly, that's like the worst part. I think now for me, when it comes to birthdays for my parents, I'm like, I can't believe they're, aging, which obviously that's like a totally normal thing. I'm not like saying like, oh my God, it's so bad, but it's just like really crazy to witness it year and year, kind of all their changes and, a little more doctor visits now. So it definitely makes me appreciate being healthy and young and living pain-free. Although I am a little bit sore on my back today, so I am sitting in like a weird, funky position on this chair. I'm trying to get comfortable on this chair because my back has been killing me this morning. And I think it's because I'm still sore from my lift on Saturday. I lifted the heaviest. I hit a new PR, which means personal record in the fitness game. And I lifted my heaviest deadlift I ever have. And for any of you who are really into like working out and stuff, deadlift requires, it targets your back. So my low back is like quite uncomfortable right now. And especially like me sitting is not the best. But other than that, I do for the most part get to live my day-to-day life in the most pain-free way. So I cannot complain. And also, as I was typing today's episode and saving it, I didn't realize that we are in a whole new month. We are in August. Oh my God, this has literally been the fastest and slowest year ever. I can't believe we're in August. This is insane. It stresses me out. How are we in August? How? I can't comprehend it. I really can't. How are we in August? It low-key stresses me out because I feel like I haven't done enough this year, with COVID and everything. I've been very still. I don't know if anyone else feels this way, but it's kind of stressful every new month because I feel like, oh my God, we're still in this pandemic. When it was March, August seemed like it was so far away. It seemed like, oh, we're going to be done with this, And here we are in August, doing it still in the middle of a pandemic. It's kind of crazy. Can't really think about it too hard or I'll get stressed out. So let's switch directions here and let's dive into Beyonce's new film, Black is King. Oh my God. I've heard that Black is King does everything it needs to. I've heard amazing reviews. I've heard that the visuals in this film are like so freaking amazing. And I'm about to steal my brother's Disney Plus account because I don't have one and I literally need to watch it. Like, I'm getting antsy because it's getting posted all over Twitter, all over social media, and I am not looking at those visuals because I want to be surprised. I want to see those visuals for myself in the actual film. So it's like, yeah, that's where I'm at. Okay. So I'm stressed out because I haven't seen the film and like, I want to be a part of the conversation of Black is King, but I can't because I haven't seen it. So I feel left out. That's peer pressure for you. Anyway, Beyonce's nearly 20-year journey in film is as much a testimony to her tenacity as her formidable catalog in music. Her work in the two fields grows a little more challenging at each turn. While she blossomed as a songwriter during her stint as leader of Destiny's Child and came out of it as a premier contemporary R&B artist of the 2000s, she took quirky film roles starring alongside comedy icons Steve Martin and Mike Myers in the Pink Panther and Austin Powers Goldmember. In the mid-aughts, Cadillac Records, The Fighting Temptations, and Dreamgirls posited Bey as a multi-hyphenate actor/performer in the style of Whitney Houston, but lacking a blockbuster like 1992's Oscar and Grammy-winning The Bodyguard. Critically reviled, though, that movie might have been in its time. Beyonce's early films seemed like obligatory star-making gestures, less like parallels to the movies of multimedia double threats like Madonna and Dolly Parton, and more like peers to the works of Jennifer Lopez and Justin Timberlake, musicians whose early film endeavors were hit or miss, relaying an eagerness to branch out of music sometimes lacking in good taste. For every memorable turn in Selena or The Social Network, there was Giggly or The Love Guru or Jersey Girl or Yogi Bear. Beyonce's role in the 2009 stalker drama Obsessed, in which she kills Ali Larter's character in a fight sequence, frankly funnier than any of her official comedic performances, did not help matters. In the past decade, experiments Beyonce did with music video format alongside Kanye West, whose My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy album was heralded by the fantastical short film Runaway, have shifted the standard for pop star video excursions, looking to monocultural audiovisual events like the Beatles' Hard Day's Night, Prince's Purple Rain, and Michael Jackson's Moonwalker for tips in spinning storytelling and performance into a unified narrative thread. Her surprise 2013 self-titled visual album laid important groundwork that she would build upon in 2016's HBO film Lemonade, which recounts the story of an apparent near miss with divorce but works on secondary levels as a celebration of Black womanhood and a dive into the naughty history and iconography of the South. Props to Life is but a dream, a chronicle of her 4-album and tour and her difficult first pregnancy, and Homecoming, which details the making and execution of Bey's 2018 headlining Coachella performance. But those are documentaries and more of a testament to Beyonce, the archivist, rather than the ambitious storyteller we're lauding today. This year's Black is King, a full-length film that uses last year's The Lion King, The Gift as its soundtrack and source context, is the culmination of everything Beyonce has learned in film since breaking out in Carmen, a hip-opera. Black is King blurs the lines between film, music video, photography, poetry, and nature documentary in its exploration of the themes of the gift, elevating what last year looked like a promotional tie-in, selling Bey's appearance as Nala in Disney's odd, photorealistic Lion King remake into a standalone experience of its own, whose plot points, insofar as they can be understood as such, dovetail sparingly with the most dramatic turns in Simba's hero's journey, but otherwise seem refreshingly uninterested in telling that story again. Here, there is also a king in exile seeking a restoration to greatness. But this time, the king is you, the viewer, and/or the black diaspora spread out over the globe and poignantly lacking, as the film suggests overtly and covertly, a close connection to the millennial of African history from which we are descended. Black is King is a full immersion in the beauty guided by African artists, actors, and dancers, honoring African fashion, music, and spirituality. We've seen this move play out before, particularly in the 80s and 90s, when the American entertainment industry took great interest in South African apartheid and responded with films like Cry Freedom and The Power of One, and albums like Artists United Against Apartheid's Sun City and Paul Simmons' Graceland. But those were Anglo-American works, often lacking an authoritative African or even non-white voice. Black is King, like Homecoming, seems uninterested in the white gaze. So you guys, I'm going to come to a very brief break right now. And when we come back, more on Black is King.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now. Don't bother. What's hot on Netflix and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to GSMC Entertainment Podcast. Like I just mentioned, like Homecoming, this is not interested in the white gaze. This is told from black artists, black actors, everything black. And I think it's amazing. It's really amazing. Just like Beyonce's Mind, right? Like that woman, she is truly a legend, okay? And I never throw that word out. I think you can't just call anybody a legend. Beyonce is truly that legend. Historically, American films have often used Africa as a backdrop for stories built around the protagonist, or at least the audience's inexperience in the landscape. Out of Africa, the 1985 slog of a Best Picture Oscar winner was carried by Meryl Streep's reenactment of Arthur Karen Blixen's decade-and-a-half residency in Kenya as a white woman navigating the prickly intersections between sexism and racism in the early 1900s, traversing rooms where whiteness elevated her social status and where her womanhood made her the lesser. The Prince of Egypt, DreamWorks' gorgeous Exodus story, is barring a minor role played by Danny Glover, a film full of African and Middle Eastern characters played by a cast of white, British, and American talent, which, by nature of its source material, is tasked with downplaying ancient Egyptian theism in order to sell the audience on the divine Judeo-Christian mandate of its main character. The Lion King is also guilty of this, you guys. Its Leonine Kenyan king was voiced by Home Improvement Jonathan Taylor Thomas. Its maestro was Rocket Man Elton John. Last year, The Gift felt like an attempt to nudge The Lion King a little closer to its roots, if only in the auxiliary marketing, the same way the original film put out a supplementary soundtrack featuring African musicians to make up for Elton's and Hans Zimmer. Black is King reveals The Gift for what it really is, a noble attempt at bridging African and Black American culture through music. It is almost completely devoid of white actors, except for the silver of dialogue from Seth Rogen and Billy Eichner as Timon and Pumbaa, and the butler lurking in the corner of the scene that resembles the Rock Nation brunch. The richness of the Black experience is the point. There's almost too much excellence to keep track of. Black is King most resembles a modern music video in its wandering eye, although the scenes of quiet, regal stillness evoke the photography of Dina Lawson and George Osady. The parade of gob-stopping outfits is almost psychedelic in its attention to crisp color. Black bodies are exalted in all their shapes and sizes. African performers Yemi Alade and Busazwa steal scenes in My Power and Don't Jealous Me. Models Ade Akek and Naomi Campbell shine during Brown Skin Girl. Musician Lord Afriksana and actor Warren Masemola both appear as embodiment of Scar trying to ruin Simba, who is played as a youth by Folajomi F.J. Akimireli and as an adult by Nyanyuso Dizi. Black creativity and spirituality are lifted up across mediums. The section soundtracked by Burna Boy's Jara is a love letter to West African car culture, but also a portent of doom. The vehicles are tricked out. Here is interrupted in the end by the chilling approach of a Zengbedo signaling that the protagonist is jeopardizing his future by venturing into the unruly night. Simba is later blessed by a Sagoma as he ascends to his regency. As much as Black is King borrows from Africa, a game of spot the influence yielded notable visual nods to DeMille's The Ten Commandments, Williams' Belly, Jodorowsky's Holy Mountain, Solange's When I Get Home, Kanye's Jesus is King, IMAX film, and maybe a dash of art house flair from Ganja and Hess. Black is King is most like a latter-day Disney product in its acknowledgement of its own criticism. The same way Tim Burton's Dumbo scrubbed the film of its racist caricatures and Guy Ritchie's Aladdin penciled in a song where Jasmine could say she's more than a damsel in need of rescuing, packing. Black is King with African talent chips away at the reasonable complaints from a year ago about the album centering a Black American star and selling West African culture as Pan-Africanism. The viewer should know that Black is King isn't entirely well-rounded as an introduction to the arts of Africa. And while the soundtrack splashes around modern Nigerian popular music, its style seems more interested in the past than the present, also treating Africa like the final destination of a spirit journey for lost Black sons and daughters overseas, ignores real needs on the ground, where armed conflict, right abuses, sickness, and water shortages plague many. Africa is not a bottomless well whose purpose is the nourishment of ceaseless generations. But Beyonce is a singer, songwriter, producer, director, and dancer, not a historian or politician. So it's hard to say that Black and King oversteps any boundaries in its simple mission to elevate Black beauty and foster Black unity. That's all the film really is. And that's why I can appreciate it. Even though I haven't watched it, I just know it's going to be phenomenal. As governments fail to even feign empathy for the most vulnerable in society, we have come to lean on benevolent celebrities to follow in Oprah Winfrey's footsteps and dedicate themselves to bridge gaps. But that's not in the job description. Black is King honors the history and culture of Africa and shares screen time and directorial duties with African actors. This isn't your typical pop star putting on airs and parodying other accents, or in the case of Kendrick Lamar's solid Black Panther album, a lot of American hip-hop artists gracing beats inspired by the music of Africa. It's an inclusive experience and a gorgeous tale of metaphysical Afrofuturism. For what it is, it's great. The question once more is, how does she top this? I mean, this is really probably the most challenging thing when it comes to Beyonce is like, how does she continue to top what she has already done? You know, like her 2018 Coachella performance, how does she top that? But like, I'm sure, I don't know, like this is why I feel like I was literally not ever meant to be an artist, because I don't know if I really have the creative juices to continually be thinking about, how do I top this? How do I keep moving up? How do I keep, you know, like shocking or surprising the public? And somehow, some way, some shape and form, Beyonce continues to do that. So this is why we love her and we are fanatics of the Queen Bee, because she just continues to surprise us. After her surprise 2013 album drop, I didn't know if she was going to be able to top that, honestly. Like, I was real life shook when that album came out. And I remember exactly where I was and around the time it happened. It was while I was living in Santa Barbara, and I was in the dorms with one of my friends, and we were on our laptops. I think we were working on homework or something. It was during winter break in December, and I remember it was in December because our dorms were basically empty. And if you're a college student, then you understand that during like breaks, school breaks, you're not allowed to stay in your dorms, which I don't really understand because you're paying hella money for it. But anyway, that's a whole different story. We had a petition to stay because we were both athletes, so we had to stay for practice. Anyway, besides the point, I remember I was in college and I was in my dorm room and I was like browsing music through Apple Music. And from there, Beyonce's surprise visual album popped up and I was shook. And here she is, you know, 7 years later, still surprising us, blowing our minds, still impacting the culture. Like, she truly is amazing and she works so hard. If you haven't seen her homecoming video, you need to go watch it, because that woman is just like a workaholic for real. Like, after watching her documentary, her homecoming documentary on Netflix, that just like pushed me to work even harder. And like, her work ethic is just unbeatable. It truly is unbeatable. And I just can't get enough. Like, I can't get enough of her. I'm excited to see what she has in store in the next few years. And she's for the culture. If you've seen Black is King, I want to hear from you. What are your opinions on the visual? Like I said, I haven't watched this. I don't know if it's like a movie, a music video. I want to know your thoughts on Black is King. Let me know in the comments. We're going to cut into a very brief break. When we come back, we're going to dive into Rihanna's newly launched skincare line, Fenty Skin.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey guys, and welcome back to GSMC Entertainment Podcast. And today's episode is a special one because not only are we talking about Queen Beyonce, we're also talking about our other queen, Queen Rihanna, okay? Like, we're talking about the two black queens in one episode, okay? Today's episode is just oozing of black excellence, and I'm loving it. And like I said, we're going to dive into Rihanna's newly launched skincare line, Fenty Skin. It broke headlines on Twitter. Everyone was talking about it. So many beauty moguls and influencers were sharing their thoughts and reviews on her her skincare products. So suddenly Zoom fatigue isn't a thing once Rihanna's on the screen. In celebration of Fenty Skin, a line of essentials already making a scene in the world of skincare, the musical superstar virtually gathered a group of beauty editors together to tell us more about her latest launch. When you're graced with bad gal Riri's presence, it's almost impossible not to be blinded by her beauty and awestruck by her aura, which is equally as effervescent even through a laptop, I've heard. If you've never felt like you could relate to the singer, designer, entrepreneur, you will now. Rihanna shares the same skin struggles as many women and is so real about it. She says, in quarantine, it was rough at first. I don't know what the changes were that my skin was going through. My skin wasn't used to being at home for that long. I guess not being in planes. After being consistent with my skincare routine every day, my skin has improved tremendously. I feel pretty confident about my skin right now. I don't wear makeup as much. I like to flex my skin. She says she's been sticking to just moisturizer for Zoom calls. Simplicity, effectiveness, and accessibility were her main goals when creating this collection. She says, I hate it when I go to the counter and I'm like, what does the platinum one mean? Does that mean it's better or for older people, she said. It's so confusing and there's so much out there. My goal is to keep this really effective. Below, more on Rihanna's no BS approach to sunscreen and growing up in Barbados. So that's really where a lot of her inspo came, is from, Barbados, where she's from. She says, oh my gosh, we've all been there. It just means you're a woman. It means you're human, both women and men. I've had different issues with skincare at different points in my life. All of my skin insecurities come throughout my journey of my skin and skincare, starting with acne as a teenager and acne treatments that led me to really blotchy skin and stripped it of good stuff that I already had in it. It was a tough journey to get back in here. I've been really skeptical of products and how they perform because I have sensitive skin. That's been a big part of what we've implemented with Fenty Skin. All of my sensitivities, all of my skincare issues, whether it's hyperpigmentation, blotchiness, acne, dry areas, oily areas, or a challenge. And you have to address all of those in a simple and nourishing way. Growing up on an island, you're exposed to the sun every day. So I always thought that the SPF was a tourist thing, and especially not for black people. I have learned the hard way because over time, the sun wasn't that kind to my skin, and my skin was not that resilient. I started to have hyperpigmentation in certain areas. I think the biggest misconception with SPF in particular is that black people don't need it. And as a woman of color, I'm here to say that's a lie. We need it, and we need it every day. And she's absolutely true. And I understand why this misconception